This is an MJA Inc. Investigations warning. This MJA podcast is rated E for explicit. Some details of a case and language used on this podcast might be upsetting to some of our listeners. Listeners' discretion is advised. And for those who are still with us, kick back and enjoy the show. When there is an ending, there was a beginning. Every victim has a picture to paint. Every true crime has its time and place. Please join our MJ podcast, the series Deep into the Woods, Missing Persons, Unsolved Crimes, and the Does. Welcome to our MJ podcast. This series, Cases State by State. This is Episode 9, Part 6, 12 Missing Person Cases. In this episode, we will profile 12 missing person cases covering 6 states. There will be a male and female missing person profiled from the 6 states. My name is Mark, and I will be your host for tonight's show. Joining me later will be our co-host, Olivia. We are coming to you from Morrisonville, New York. Missing persons. Welcome to Wisconsin. Case 1. Missing Christopher James Winkler, who went missing from Burlington, Wisconsin on February 16th, 1987. Case 2. Missing Amber Lynn Wild, who went missing on September 23rd, 1998 from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Welcome to Washington. Case 3. Missing John Allen Ackerman, who went missing on August 7th, 1987 from Spokane, Washington. Case 4. Missing Lori Lynn Partridge, who went missing on December 4th, 1974 from Spokane, Washington. Welcome to Oregon. Case 5. Missing James Lee Proctor, who went missing on December 23rd, 1990 from Shady Cove, Oregon. Case 6. Missing Christine Ann Nelson, who went missing on August 24th, 1986 from Eugene, Oregon. Welcome to Idaho. Case 7. Missing Patrick Jason Beavers, who went missing on April 3rd, 1997 from Jerome, Idaho. Case 8. Missing Marie Ann Watson, who went missing on November 21st, 1977 from Emmett, Idaho. Welcome to Nevada. Case 9. Missing Gabriel Vincent, who went missing in November 1979 from Las Vegas, Nevada. Case 10. Missing Camille Dorothy Dodson, who went missing on June 17, 1994 from Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome to Utah. Case 11. Missing Charles Daniel Edmonds Jr., who went missing on August 22nd, 1995 from Salem, Utah. Case 12. Missing Cherie L. Warren, who went missing on October 2nd, 1985 from Salt Lake City, Utah. Let's take a pause for the cause, and when we return, our co-host Olivia will be on the line. Be back in a moment. Welcome to our MJ podcast. This series, Cases State by State. This is Episode 9, Part 6, 12 Missing Person Cases. We have Olivia on the line tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay. Let's dig into these unsolved mysteries.
Okay.
Case 1. Welcome to Wisconsin. The Doe Network has listed 30 males missing from the state of Wisconsin. On February 16, 1987, 19-year-old Christopher James Winkler, a white male, went missing from Burlington, Wisconsin. The 19-year-old Winkler was last seen on the night of February 16, 1987, when a friend dropped him off at his house in the evening. It was reported that Winkler went a couple houses down from his house looking for a friend who wasn't home. Winkler seemed panicky at the time, and a black truck was following him, and his friend's grandfather told him to leave. That's the last time anyone has seen the 19-year-old Winkler. This was also during a time where Winkler and three other local men were charged with breaking into the auctioneer's inn. On December 1st, 1986, they broke into the upscale restaurant in Dover, Wisconsin. It was reported that over $3,500 worth of items were taken during the break-in. Winkler had done maintenance work at the auctioneer's inn before. Two of Winkler's friends that assisted in the burglary owned a black truck. It was similar to the one seen following Winkler on the night of his disappearance, and the men's truck vanished a short time afterwards. There were rumors that local biker gangs who were fixtures at the restaurants were using it to smuggle drugs. The rumor went on to state that Winkler and his friends stole some of the drugs during the break-in, but these accounts have not been confirmed. After Winkler went missing, Winkler's friends pleaded guilty to their roles in the burglary and got minimal sentences. Years after Winkler's disappearance, the burglary charges against him were dropped after the statute of limitations had expired. It's unclear whether the crime had anything to do with his disappearance. The police and Winkler's family believe the 19-year-old Christopher James Winkler was murdered on the night of his disappearance. Winkler had numerous associates who were involved with serious criminal activity. Winkler's family members were threatened after his disappearance. However, police stated they have no evidence of a crime in his case. His disappearance remains unsolved. The 19-year-old Christopher James Winkler disappeared under suspicious circumstances. If there is anyone with info concerning this case, please contact the Racine County Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigator Stacy Martinez. Phone number 262-636-3225.
Case 2. The Doe Network has listed 31 females missing from the state of Wisconsin. September 23rd, 1998, 19-year-old Amber Lynn Wild, a white female, and her vehicle went missing from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Amber Wild attended the University of Wisconsin, Washington County campus. Amber was in a car accident the morning of September 23rd, 1998. 19-year-old Wild had a minor head injury in the accident when her head hit the windshield. She attended her classes that day, but was complaining of a headache. Wild last spoke with her family September 23rd, 1998, after the accident. The 19-year-old Wild asked her father to call her the next day to make sure she got up for her class. The next day, the father called, and when his daughter Amber did not answer, the father drove to Green Bay and found Wild's apartment locked. Then the father reported Amber Lynn Wild as missing. The 19-year-old Wild was last seen in the evening at her residence in the vicinity of the 2000 block of August Street in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Amber Wild's 1988 Subaru GL was located more than a week later. The vehicle was abandoned in a parking lot at a Green Bay sports bar on the south side of near Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Located in the vehicle was Wild's purse and cell phone in the trunk of her car, but yet the keys were in the ignition. Last person to drive the car was likely larger than Amber, for the seat was pushed back from the steering wheel. Some authorities do not believe the car had been located for the whole week Wild had been missing. It had been driven about 900 miles that could not be accounted for. There were also some fingerprints that investigators have not been able to identify. In 2001, police launched a massive search for 19-year-old Amber Wild, but turned up nothing. Police in 2001 drilled holes every 60 feet and used cadaver dogs along Highway 29 in Shawano County. They said that they got a tip that Wild's body may have been buried somewhere along that stretch of roadway. At the time of her disappearance, the highway was under construction and there were deep holes there. Wild's family says it's uncharacteristic of her to leave without warning. She wasn't involved with drugs and alcohol. The 19-year-old Wild seemed optimistic about her future, for she was expecting a child. Her aunt was going to take care of her child once it was born so Wild could finish school. Police suspect foul play in Wild's disappearance and have done several unsuccessful searches for her body. In 2016, authorities named Matthew John Schneider, the father of her unborn child, as a suspect in her case. Wild had told her aunt and godmother that Schneider, whom she met at a party in May 1998, had denied being the father. Schneider was engaged to marry another woman at the time Wild's baby was conceived, and he didn't want his fiancée to find out about her pregnancy. About a month before her disappearance, Wild told Schneider's fiancé and his mother that she was pregnant with his child. According to entries in Wild's diary, Schneider was furious after he found out she spoke to his fiancé. Schneider had pressured her to have an abortion, but she refused. Matthew John Schneider later told police he barely knew her and that they had never had sex. But his phone records show that they had about 60 phone conversations back and forth, and Wild's family said they saw each other for approximately 4 months. Police stated Schneider showed no apparent concern for Wild's welfare after her disappearance. No one has been charged in Wild's disappearance, but her case is being investigated as a homicide. One theory is that Schneider, a highway worker, buried Amber Wild's remains under Highway 21, which was under construction in 1998. Mark, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Did you get the info? Okay, it says if anybody has any info concerning the case, please contact the Green Bay Police Department phone number at
No,
920.
that's not there.
Okay, I'll read it. 920-448-3221 or 920-432-7867 or call the Washington County Law Enforcement Tip Line phone number 1-800-232-0594. Case 3. Welcome to Washington. The Doe Network has 69 males listed as missing from the state of Washington. On August 7, 1987, 27-year-old John Allen Ackerman, a white male, went missing from Spokane, Washington. John Ackerman was last heard from on August 7, 1987. Ackerman, a Spokane cab driver, was midway through his shift for Checker Cab Company at 12:20 a.m. when he picked up a fare at 5th and Wall near a medical center. The 27-year-old Ackerman told his dispatcher he was taking the man to the Spokane Valley. The dispatcher never heard from Ackerman again. 2 hours later, another cab driver found Ackerman's cab at 5th and Madison, only 4 blocks away from where he picked up his last fare. The cab was unlocked and the windows were rolled down. A knife Ackerman carried for protection was laying next to the driver's seat. There was no sign of a struggle in the cab. There was no way to trace where the fare was. Who the fare was, only where the pickup was located. The cab's meter was off, but indicated the cab may have traveled a number of miles with the last fare. Ackerman had been driving this cab for a month. The 27-year-old Ackerman was married and was celebrating his fourth wedding anniversary the day of his disappearance. Ackerman was described as a good employee and as being in a good mood when he left for work. Both Ackerman's wallets were missing, one for his personal cash and identification, and one for carrying cab fare money. Ackerman was a good employee, and neither his employer nor his wife believe he left on his own accord. The fare he picked up that night of his disappearance was never identified. The John Allen Ackerman case remains unsolved. If you have any info concerning this case, please contact the Spokane Police Department. Phone number 509-625-4231.
Case 4. The Doe Network has 94 females listed as missing from the state of Washington. On December 4th, 1974, 17-year-old Lori Lynn Partridge, a white female, went missing from Spokane, Washington. On December 4th, 1974, Lori Partridge left Ferris High School early, complaining about not feeling well. The 17-year-old Partridge was walking at 37th and Havana Streets on Spokane's South Hill. Unable to get a ride, Lori Lynn Partridge decided to walk the 2+ miles to her home. Oh, wait a minute. There were reports that a green Ford Pinto station wagon was in the area at the time, possibly following her. The 17-year-old Partridge lived with her parents and 5 younger siblings, saying the air might help her feel better. Family reported her missing after she failed to show up for work that evening at Lincoln Heights Theater. 2 days later, on December 6, 1974, the contents of her purse were located near the location where she was last seen. Sheriff's deputies thought she might have run away from home, given her displeasure when the family moved to Spokane from California. By the time she vanished, she had started working on a high school newspaper and was on the drill team. Detectives staked out a Beach Boys concert to which Partridge's father had given her tickets but didn't see her. They later learned that the tickets had been used, but too late to determine by whom. Authorities initially believed Lori Partridge left of her own accord, but her family never believed this for one moment. Police have since revised their opinion, and they now think Lori Lynn Partridge was taken against her will. The 17-year-old Partridge and her 20-year-old boyfriend were hoping to marry and were planning to select an engagement ring on the day of her disappearance. 3 people were questioned by detectives, including one who turned out to be serial killer Theodore Robert Ted Bundy, but none panned out. In 2011, investigators announced that they had a new witness who may have seen Partridge leaving her during her walk home. Authorities haven't disclosed the witnesses' identities, but stated the person allegedly saw Lori at 4:15 p.m., several hours after the last confirmed sighting of her. A Caucasian male in his 40s or 50s, as well as a white truck with a dark-colored door and a van back end, were nearby. 3 suspects have been questioned in Lori's case over the years, but no one has been charged in her case. 17-year-old Lori Lynn Partridge's boyfriend was questioned extensively, but never named as a suspect. Her parents got a divorce after her disappearance, but later they found a way to get back together and remarried each other more than 10 years later. Lori's mother died in 2004, but her father is still alive. 17-year-old Lori Lynn Partridge's case remains unsolved. If anyone has info concerning this case, please contact the Spokane County, Washington Sheriff's Office at 509-477-4760.
Case 5. Welcome to Oregon. The Doe Network has 47 males listed as missing from the state of Oregon. On December 23, 1990, 47-year-old James Lee Proctor, a white male, went missing from Shady Cove, Oregon. James Proctor went missing on December 23, 1990, after leaving Shady Cove, Oregon, flying his private plane, a white and green Raleigh single engine with 2 seats. It was reported that he took off in his airplane after an argument with his wife. Proctor never returned home and has never been heard from again. 2 search and rescues were flown, one in January of 1991 and one in August of 1991, but nothing was found of neither his plane or him. Nobody realized that he had disappeared until 1 week after he took off in his plane. Proctor got married 3 weeks before his disappearance. The 47-year-old Proctor told a friend he regretted his choice and wanted to go somewhere where no one knew him. Proctor's wife lived elsewhere and only commuted to his home on the weekends. As a result, it was a week before anyone realized he was missing. Proctor had left all of his identification, including his badge as a retired policeman from the Pasadena, California Police Department, on the kitchen counter of a home he was house sitting for a friend. The 47-year-old Proctor also left all of his credit cards and some cash. James Lee Proctor was declared legally dead several years after his disappearance. If you have any info concerning this case, please contact the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, Detective Eric Fox, phone number 541-774-6800.
Case 6. The Doe Network has 50 females listed as missing from the state of Oregon. On August 24th, 1986, 36-year-old Christine Ann Nelson, a white female, went missing from Eugene, Oregon. Nelson was last seen on August 24th, 1986, in Eugene, Oregon, driving a 1973 Honda 500 cycle with Oregon plates. Foul play is suspected. Searchers found her Honda 500 parked near a quarry about 15 miles from her Jasper home, but they never found the 36-year-old Christine Nelson. Family believe her husband killed her in a fit of rage over their troubled marriage. Their marriage was troubled, and the couple separated a few months prior to Christine's disappearance. She moved back in with her parents. But Philip begged her to come home, and she began spending weekends with him at their house. By the time of her disappearance, Christine was still undecided as to whether to end her marriage. Nelson often showed up to work at the University of Oregon Library with bruises. Coworkers said Christine told them her husband inflicted them, although he was never charged with domestic violence. They went to Carson City, Nevada in 1986 to pick up 2 Studebakers, which the husband, Philip Stephen Nelson, had purchased for his collection. Investigators know that the 36-year-old Christine Nelson made it to Carson City, but the trail ends there. The husband, Philip Stephen Nelson, is the only one who says he saw her in Oregon. Husband claims they returned home on August 23, 1986. The husband told investigators his wife took her motorcycle out the next morning and vanished, but investigators and Christine's family believe that the husband parked the motorcycle at the quarry on Sears Road to make it look like Christine had left him. In 1993, Christine's mother sued Lane County Circuit Court to have her son-in-law, Philip Stephen Nelson, declared her daughter's killer. This was to prevent him from benefiting from her life insurance and retirement holdings. They reached a settlement in which Christine's husband did not admit guilt but released any interest in his missing wife's estate. Christine Nelson was declared legally dead in the process. Authorities have no evidence between Philip's statements that Christine ever made it home from Carson City, Nevada. Christine Nelson is known to have arrived in Nevada safely, but no one besides Philip reported seeing her back home in Oregon. Philip stated he believed his wife had run away with another man. Some members of her family thought she had disappeared under suspicious circumstances and may have been murdered. Philip was initially cooperative with the police investigating his wife's case, but he eventually refused to take a polygraph and hired an attorney and stopped talking to authorities. Most of Christine Ann Nelson's relatives are now deceased. Foul play is suspected in the 36-year-old Christine Ann Nelson's case, which remains unsolved. You want to pick up from there?
If you have any info concerning this case, please contact the Lane County Sheriff's Office at 541-682-4167 or 541-682-4141. Let's take a pause for the cause, and when we return, we will profile 6 more missing person cases state by state. Be back in a moment. MJA would like to give a special shout out to the Corbin Connection comedy channel on YouTube. Mr. Corbin is a very funny man with his 3 alter egos. Once again, that's the Corbin Connection on the comedy channel on YouTube. Check it out. Thank you. Welcome back to our MJ podcast, this series, Cases State by State. This is episode 9, part 6, 12 missing person cases.
Case 7. Welcome to Idaho. The Doe Network has 24 males listed as missing from the state of Idaho. On April 3rd, 1997, 24-year-old Patrick Jason Beavers, a white male, went missing from Jerome, Idaho. Patrick Jason Beavers, also known as Pat, disappeared sometime between the evening of April 3rd, 1997, and the morning of April 4th, 1997. The 24-year-old Beavers left a goodbye note, which could be taken as a suicide note. Beavers left a farewell note behind reading, "My will, Mom gets everything. Sorry, but my time here is up. Love you all. No blame except my own." Drinking hot alcohol and cut up his identification. He left a note and walked off in the middle of the night after having a disagreement with his stepfather about his being unemployed. It was snowing that night and the temperature was well below freezing. Beavers wasn't wearing his coat when he disappeared, and he also left behind his wallet, tax forms, and rifle. Patrick usually carried pepper spray on a chain and a multi-purpose pocket knife. Beavers did not know how to drive. An extensive search was made the following day of the canyon and surrounding desert area. Before disappearing, he had purchased new camping gear and clothes that he did not take with him. Patrick Jane Beavers had been diagnosed as antisocial. 24-year-old Beavers tends to avoid people in most situations. He may be suicidal. Beavers has visual perception problems. He has to wear dark wrap or round type sunglasses due to a light sensitivity condition, and may even wear the sunglasses during the evening hours. The 24-year-old Beavers has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. He smokes expensive cigars and drinks scotch, but he does not frequent bars. Beavers is a loner who enjoys reading and long-distance hiking. His mother initially thought he may have left of his own accord to travel around the country, possibly by hitchhiking, but she began to question this theory as time passed without contact. Beavers' case remains unsolved. Texas police are insisting the investigation. If you have any info concerning this case, please contact the Jerome Police Department at 208-324-4328.
Case 8. The Doe Network has 12 females listed as missing from the state of Idaho. On November 21st, 1977, 27-year-old Marie Ann Watson, a white female, went missing from Emmett, Idaho. Marie Ann Watson was last seen in Emmett, Idaho on November 21st, 1977. A dispute over custody of her 2 children being cared for by the suspect's parents ended when Marie Watson, the children's mother, disappeared in November 1977. The suspect's mother told authorities she had seen Watson get into a car and drive off, but her purse and other belongings were found in a car parked at the suspect's home. The 27-year-old Watson was last seen in Jim County, Idaho on November 21st, 1977. Watson has never been heard from again. At the time of her disappearance, she was involved in a custody dispute over her 2 children, ages 8 and 6. They have been living with foster parents Michael and Dorothy Rogers, and Watson had visitation. The Rogers couple, who also cared for 5 other children. They changed the children's name and had them refer to Watson as their aunt. Marie Ann Watson repeatedly tried to regain custody before she disappeared, but the Rogers family wanted to adopt the children. Dorothy Rogers is the last person known to have seen Watson. Rogers said she saw Watson get into a car and drive away. In the aftermath of Watson's disappearance, her parents, Leon and Lucille Baxter, fought for and obtained custody of her children. In their custody petition, they accused the Rogers couple of causing Watson to vanish. In June 1978, Michael Rogers was charged with raping his 14-year-old adopted daughter. He and Dorothy fled, taking Watson's children and two of their other children with them. They were later located in Arkansas. The Rogers couple was arrested and the children was taken into protective custody. Michael Rogers ended up pleading guilty to the rape of his daughter, and he and Dorothy divorced. There were allegations that they abused their other foster and adopted children. Authorities believe Michael and Dorothy Rogers may have been involved in Watson's disappearance, but there is insufficient evidence to charge them. A strange twist in the case. Curiously, Michael and Dorothy Rogers' son, Raymond Rogers, who was 17 years old in 1977, grew up to become a serial killer. Raymond Rogers was convicted of murdering 2 of his girlfriends and a former roommate in California in the 1990s. Poor Raymond was sentenced to death. After they arrested the young Rogers, police tried to link Raymond to Watson's disappearance. They dug up his former home in Idaho, but they could not prove he was involved. Until the California murders were discovered, the young Rogers had never been a suspect in Watson's case. Watson's case remains unsolved. Foul play is suspected in the disappearance of Marie Ann Watson. Investigators think the 27-year-old Watson was taken against her will. If you have any info concerning this case, please contact the Idaho Missing Persons Clearinghouse investigator Tom Nesbitt, phone number 208-484-2097, or call the Jim County Sheriff's Office at 208-484-4328. 477 2025.
Case 9. Welcome to Nevada. The Doe Network has 18 males listed as missing from the state of Nevada. Sometime in November 1979, Gabriel or Gabriel?
Gabriel.
Vincent,
Yes.
Gabriel, age and race unknown, went missing from Las Vegas, Nevada. Gabriel Vincent rented property from David Dale Morgan, a millionaire Las Vegas landowner. Vincent rented a storage facility from Morgan at 3200 West Tico Avenue. Vincent went missing near the end of 1979. In February 1980, Morgan's wife, Marie, vanished. There was talk that Vincent and Marie Morgan had been having an affair. Detectives suspected Marie Morgan met a violent end. She was reported missing not by her husband, but by an employee of the Women's Crisis Center. Marie Morgan was never found. But after her disappearance, David Morgan said she ran away with Vincent and accused her of infidelity. In 2000, 36-year-old Diana Leone, who was David Morgan's live-in girlfriend since 1986 and mother of his 2 children, disappeared after he had been arrested several times on charges of beating her. In early 2006, detectives found a former employee who reportedly was present when Vincent was shot and was said to have helped dispose of Vincent's body. Told police that David Morgan had killed Vincent and buried his body near Indian Springs in November 1979. Authorities suspect that Vincent's body later was dug up and brought back to property owned by David Morgan off Sunset. On January 2nd, 2007, United States Marshals and Arizona police officers arrested David Morgan on 1 count of first-degree murder in Kingman, Arizona. This was based on a homicide warrant prepared by the Las Vegas MPD Missing Persons Detail. Morgan was arrested for the murder of Gabriel Vincent. You can continue.
If you have any info concerning this case, please contact the Las Vegas Metro Police Department at 702-828-2907. Case 10. The Doe Network has 30 females listed as missing from the state of Nevada. On June 17, 1994, 30-year-old Camille Dorothy Dodson, a white female, went missing from Las Vegas, Nevada. Camille was last seen in the vicinity of the 300 block of South Casino Center Boulevard in Las Vegas, Nevada. Shortly after Dodson married an accused murderer, Camille called friends saying she was afraid, but she didn't specify why. At the time, there was a warrant out for the 30-year-old Dodson's arrest for a misdemeanor. Camille Dorothy Dodson had fallen into drug use and prostitution. At the time of her disappearance, she used crack and marijuana, and she also smoked Marlboro cigarettes. The 30-year-old Dodson left behind a child. Camille Dorothy Dodson's mother and friends feel she would never gone this long without contacting her family. The missing 30-year-old Dodson has worked as a waitress, as a dancer, and a store clerk in the past. If you have any info concerning this case, please contact the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, Detective Dan Holly at 702-828-2907.
Case 11. Welcome to Utah. The Doe Network has 20 males listed as missing from the state of Utah. On August 22nd, 1995, 22-year-old Charles Daniel Edmonds Jr. went missing from Salem, Utah. Danny Edmonds was last seen on August 22, 1995. He was last seen at a family member's residence in the vicinity of the 800 block of South 300 West in Salem, Utah. The 19-year-old Edmonds was hiking in the Mount Nebo region of southern Utah County. Edmonds' vehicle was found abandoned near one of the trails on the mountain. Is that near Park City? He was described as an experienced hiker. Edmonds may be seen in the Diamond Fork Sixth Water area. There has been no contact with family or friends since his disappearance. Edmonds was last seen at a family member's residence in the vicinity of the 800 block of South 300 West in Salem, Utah on August 22, 1995. That night, Edmonds stole a neighbor's mountain bike and disappeared. Charles Daniel Edmonds, Jr. has never been heard from again. A few days after his disappearance, Edmonds' Ford Bronco was found in, you got to help me with this, Mark.
The Santa Quinn
Canyon. It was located 7 miles from the mouth of the canyon with his sleeping bag and hiking gear inside. Acting on the theory that the 19-year-old Edmonds may have had an accident while riding the bike during the night, authorities searched the Diamond Fork Canyon area of Utah County. They did not find Edmonds or the bike. Nothing has ever been located. Charles Daniel Edmonds Jr.'s case remains unsolved. On to you.
If you have any info concerning this case, please contact the Salem Police Department at 801-423-2770. Case 12. The Joe Network has 19 females listed as missing from the state of Utah. On October 2nd, 1985, 25-year-old Cherie L. Warren, a white female, went missing from Salt Lake City, Utah. Cherie L. Warren, a mother, was last seen about 6:30 p.m. on October 2nd, 1985, as she was leaving work at the Utah State Employees Credit Union in Salt Lake City. Warren lived with her parents in Roy, Utah at the time of her disappearance, and at the time she was dating Ogden's, Utah's serial rapist, Carrie Hartman. On November 11th, 1985, Warren's vehicle was recovered at the Aladdin Hotel parking lot in Las Vegas, Nevada. The vehicle appeared to have been parked there for some time. Warren's boyfriend at the time of her 1985 disappearance was Carrie Hartman, who was a former reserve police officer and was later revealed to be a serial rapist and was in prison. Hartman went to prison in 1987, where he still resides. At his 2005 parole hearing, Hartman stated he was willing to cooperate with authorities regarding Warren's disappearance. Hartman is still incarcerated and has never been connected to her case. Evidence has never tied him to Warren's disappearance. Douglas Lovell was questioning Warren's disappearance in 1993 and in the 1983 disappearance of another Utah woman, Teresa Greaves. Lovell pleaded guilty to the 1985 murder of Joyce Yost, stating he had killed her to keep her from testifying against him in a rape case. Joyce Yost's remains has never been found. Lovell was sentenced to death, but his guilty plea was overturned on a technicality in 2010. He was convicted of murder at a trial in April 2015 and was sentenced to death for a second time. Lovell maintains his innocence in the Greaves and Warren's cases and was cooperative with investigators. Greaves' remains were discovered in 2015 and her death is under investigation. The Warren family had Cherie L. Warren declared completely deceased in the 1990s, but her case remains open and unsolved. If anyone has any info concerning this case, please contact the Roy City Police Department at 801 629 8221. Olivia, is there anything you would like to add to any of these cases?
Oh, yeah, I can never keep my mouth shut. I just recently read that because Lake Mead is drying up, they're finding a lot of body parts. So, a lot of people through the years have disappeared from Vegas. As they say, what happens in Vegas stays there. But, I hope that, maybe some of these people that are, I think Utah, is that near Lake Mead? Arizona is, right?
Well, I don't know. I don't know the exact.
Lake Mead is like 20 miles east from Vegas, so hopefully, some of these body parts that they're finding, they can connect to some of these disappearances. You don't know where they're from. It seems to be a dumping ground. And also, that Beavers case, one thing about that, the mother had said, I believe it was his mother, that he had issues with his eyes.
Yes.
I question, why would he go hiking if you have issues with your eyes?
Well, some people, they compensate with it. See, same way years ago there was a husband and wife team that were abducting females, and he had the same condition where he had to wear Coke bottle sunglasses even at night.
Oh, all right. It's like night vision, kind of?
Yeah, it's something like, something to do with sensitivity of light to their eyes. But yeah, after you adjust to it, you can see like normal people.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just thought I wanted to bring that up about Lake Mead, because it seems like daily they're finding more and more body parts. So hopefully, a lot of these cases where people have never been found, they'll be solved.
Yeah.
Because they're finding stuff. And who knows where anybody else is. It's just sad that so many people have just disappeared, and without a trace. It's just, blows my mind.
Yeah, sure does.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I have a quote for you all. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. Abraham Lincoln. A special thanks to Olivia for being on the show tonight. We also want to thank our viewers and listeners for tuning in tonight, for y'all have been so kind. Always remember, folks, that if you ever get bored with nothing to do, well, take a walk deep into the woods. You might be surprised at what you might find. That's the end of our MJ podcast. This has been episode 9, part 6. This series, Cases State by State, 12 missing person cases. We say to all of you, good night from Morrisonville, New York.